Right on the heels of the snow that's moving out.
Chicagoans are used to such friction.
Chicagoans searching for shade.
Saturated with warnings about Tylenol.
As White Sox players make their way through downtown Chicago.
I never thought I'd be this emotional.
Hello, thank you for joining us. I'm Allison Rosati. We are marking a major milestone here at NBC5, more than 7 decades of broadcasting. Over the next hour, we're going to do our best to bring you the biggest news, weather, and sports stories and hear from the people who told them. Now, our station's mission began at the Merchandise Mart. It was October of 1948, the first broadcast, Game 3 of the World Series. And there were many more pioneering firsts that followed.
Here we are.
In the early days, well, it was actually WMAQ in those days. Chicago was still somewhat of a network production center.
A camera lens connected to the photocathode.
In particular, Kukla Frananali. That was probably the greatest contribution that NBC in Chicago ever made.
Shows like Garraway at Large
Television is ready for you.
And Ding Dong School soon followed from the Merchandise Mart, ushering in the Chicago School of Television era. In early 1949, commercial broadcasting begins.
It's important, but it's not too important.
With daily news updates.
It's brought to you live in living color.
April 15, 1956 will always be remembered as C-Day, when Channel 5 became the world's first all-color TV station. Another big change debuts in 1964, when the station's call letters are changed to WMAQ.
Daily Chicago and how it's working without him.
1966 brings a broadcast first, when Jory Luloff becomes Chicago's first female news anchor.
Having a woman around at that time was a little iffy. They weren't too sure about that. And there were some people who just hated it. I guess it was challenging to get people like Mayor Daley to learn to respect you.
She helped pave the way for other women that followed.
Our newsroom was, in the day, a teeming, shouting, typewriter clacking, some people smoking, some people yelling kind of newsroom. But at the end of the day, we got really great stories on the air.
Good evening and welcome to our new home at the NBC Tower.
In 1989, another new era begins, with the city and station buzzing as the new NBC Tower is built on Columbus Drive.
We were moving into a building that was now named for us, the NBC Tower, so it's a big deal.
I guess most of us have found our way to the new building.
Soon after, global superstars are born with talk shows from Jenny Jones and Jerry Springer. 2004 opens a new window to Chicago television with the opening of the city's first street-side studio.
Studio 5 has arrived.
Decades of broadcasts followed, from faces you trusted to bring you the biggest stories in news, politics, weather, and sports.
The 108-year drought is over.
For years, we took the wheel of the auto show.
Now, our NBC team is in both halls of McCormick Place.
And we are proud to be your marathon station for 20 years.
I love the marathon. It's one of my favorite days. It might be my favorite day every year.
Now, Channel 5 is also streaming everywhere 24/7 as NBC Chicago News. Still covering what matters most with a legacy of integrity.
I think there is a hunger here at this television station to be the best at what we do. And we bring those stories to our viewers every day.
In a city known for politics, 2 women have become synonymous with the best political coverage in town. From holding truth to power and politicians to task, Carol Marin and Marianne Ahern set the gold standard. We sat down with the Thelma and Louise of politics for a look back at their legacy at NBC5.
Let's talk a little politics. I'm Carol Marin.
And I'm Marianne Ahern.
I was the first female political editor.
I believe I was the first woman to be named political reporter at NBC.
This corruption probe will shock and dismay even the most cynical of political observers.
We broke Operation Silver Shovel, environmental terrorism in the neighborhoods, and the moles who wore wires against the politicians.
People don't know behind the scenes that we met every single week. And of course, we never knew what the week was going to bring.
It's time for me. It's time for Chicago to move on.
How about the day that Mayor Daley decided that he was not going to run again?
I don't know what it was, but she and I, in separate places, thought something feels funny. We go to City Hall, and Mayor Daley walks out, and right behind him walks Maggie. And he is announcing he will not run for re-election. It was one of those, oh my God moments, and we were there. I remember one time in Springfield, it was snowing to beat the band.
Obama announced that he was going to run for president. It must have been 50 below.
It was horrible. My lips were blue.
We were dying.
You couldn't talk because your face was frozen. And you know, it worked like clockwork because we knew it was important.
Bonjour.
Guten Tag.
Kalimera.
Tally ho. At Deep Dish, we are going all NATO.
Every day is an awesome responsibility. Getting to choose what our story is, how we're going to cover it, how you ask those who are in power to be accountable. And I kind of have in the back of my head a lot of times, what's the question that someone at home is thinking that they wish they were asking the mayor or the governor or whomever?
Politics is a contact sport, and our sports teams are often not so good, but our politics is great.
Which takes Thelma and Louise out of the running.
That, of course, is the nickname given to us by former Obama spokesman Robert Gibbs.
They didn't always approve of some of the stories we did. We seemed to be too critical. And he walked upon Marianne and I, who were getting ready for a live shot, and Gibbs goes, Thelma and Louise. He did not mean it as a compliment. We embraced it as a compliment, didn't we?
We loved it. We even had our own Brad Pitt. Don Mosley, our fantastic producer.
And we would take pictures at subsequent conventions with the headscarves and the sunglasses. We even did a go out to vote little button.
We did fight slightly over who was Thelma and who was Louise. But I am Thelma. It's all good.
Carol Marine and Marianne Ahern, the team Chicago trusts to cover politics.
I mean, what can I say? It's just been a great friendship, not just a collegial relationship. And women do get along. And my mother used to say that you keep your girlfriends close because they will save you. Your girlfriends save you.
Besides politics, there is one constant in Chicago, the ever-changing weather. Everybody has a storm story. But what about those who forecast it? We sat down with the NBC5 storm team to look back at covering Chicago weather.
Snowstorms, tornadoes. One of the toughest things with severe weather is to look on radar, see something that you know is the worst day in someone's life happening, and all you can do is tell them to protect themselves.
Chicago's most experienced team and Chicago's most accurate weather.
It's interesting to see how people get into weather, that there's some seminal weather event that happened to them. There was a storm in Portland, Oregon, where I grew up in 1962 on Columbus Day, Pacific Hurricane. I can remember riding it out of my living room with my family and hearing the roof creak on the house. And I think if there's any fascination with weather, it probably started with that.
For me, my moment was I was in the Army. It was pouring rain and snowing at the same time. And I thought to myself, how is that possible?
It'll feel like it's in the mid and upper 90s as we head through the afternoon hours.
And that's what really kind of got me started on a path to meteorology, at least in my head. I keep thinking, I've got to find out why.
But showers to our south and southwest. Watch as we transition to our Stormcast model. This is a magnet of the skyline of Chicago. So I had it on my refrigerator my whole career. Basically, this was my motivation to get to Chicago. And here I am.
Not right. Oh my!
Our secret weapon, we have a weather producer, my son Joey, who went to Purdue, got a degree in atmospheric science. The process of forecasting is a father-son argument, and we include everybody in this. Maricela from Telemundo, Everyone on our side, Pete and Alicia and Kevin and Aisha, we all work as a team.
We were instrumental in doing some things that had never been done before.
We have the chance for severe weather today. We can't rule out a tornado.
We're the first to go with continuous live coverage in a severe weather event. And that was a tornado outbreak. It was a devastating storm for sure. The oddity was that it took place in February when people think severe weather doesn't normally take place. If we had to pick a storm that sticks in our head more than any other, for me, it was the Groundhog Day blizzard of 2011, because that was a storm that lived up to its hype. It was the storm of the century.
And there was lake enhancement. We had a storm system that was over us, and it grabbed a ton of moisture, and it was dumping snow on Lakeshore Drive.
Put down 1 to 2 feet of snow. That's when Lakeshore Drive shut down. I remember in the buses and the cars, and that's when the snowmobiles were all out. We had winds gusting to 60 or 70 miles an hour. We had thunder snow, and the sky lit up, the lightning. It was insane.
Lake Michigan is just very mysterious, and it's very challenging. Every day I go to work, whether it's in the summer, the spring, fall, winter, it's something different, and a lot of times it has to do with the lake.
The NBC5 Storm Team now has the most powerful tools in the region. Technology, computer horsepower is much better than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. When I first came here, we had to manually make the maps, and now we're on the threshold of AI doing everything for us. But it still takes a human being to figure this stuff out.
And just imagine now, in 10 or 15 or 20 years from now, and you mentioned AI, you may finally be retired.
Yeah, I mean, or just a hologram of me.
Up next, we'll go behind the anchor desk.
Everybody loved everybody else. I think it showed.
I think it did.
Some of your favorite faces share stories of their own. Plus,
that was the greatest time of your career because you were covering the greatest player of all time and the greatest team of all time.
An inside look at covering some of Chicago's sports dynasties.
For those of us who anchor the news, you cover so much that it can seem like you've lived a lifetime in just one day. But each day, we are grateful that you welcome us into your homes. Here's a look back at some familiar faces who may have become members of the family.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
First night is co-anchor on News Center 5.
Good evening.
News Center 5 weeknights at 5 and 10.
I'm Mike Jackson.
And I'm Deborah Norville. I'm Robin Meade.
I'm Joan Esposito.
I'm Zoraida Samplin.
Hello, I'm Art Norman.
I'm Michelle Rutherford.
And I'm Jason Navarrete.
Good evening. I'm Carol Murray.
And I'm Ron Majors.
One of the things I will say about the years we spent together at NBC was that I think every newsroom would love to have is it was a true collaborative effort.
Over here is Mark Giangreco and me and Ron and Jim Tillman. Everybody doesn't always love everybody that they work with, but they work with them professionally. On that desk, everybody loved everybody else.
The mutual respect, which continues to this day, grew into a true love and friendship. We just sat down and did the news together and loved it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Allison Rosati. I've been here for 33 years. I arrived in 1990. And I've been at the same station in Chicago, which I think is nothing short of a miracle.
I've got an idea for ratings sweeps month.
You know, it's kind of funny because first I was a page here, and nobody thought of me as on-air talent. I had to leave NBC to eventually get to work on NBC.
When I came in, they told me I was going to be working with Bob Surratt, and I knew his name, and I also knew that he was a legend as a DJ here in Chicago.
We want you to design something that's like a radio show, and that was the beginning of First Thing in the Morning here.
Hi. Please don't drink cola in the morning anymore.
I can't even stay up like this.
And it was such a fun time. I didn't even feel like I was working. No one had done a morning show like that.
One more thing about the Clinton inauguration.
The goal, I think, when you have these jobs is try to never lose that part of your brain that can register it as something special.
Why do you like bowling so much? What do you like about it? Wednesday's Child was a weekly program where we featured a foster child who'd been waiting the longest in our foster care system
who was looking to be adopted. I had experience growing up living in a foster home for 2 years. I felt this was a calling. That was something I was meant to do. Using the power of the medium of television to do something good, to realize that you can help someone have a better life, that's like one of the greatest joys of my life.
Good evening, I'm Rob Stafford. I was the main anchor with Allison Rosati for 13 years. When you sit in the chair, you know you're not the first guy to sit in this chair, you won't be the last. You're a caretaker of a legacy of journalism at this station, so that's your job. Second job is don't take yourself too seriously.
And we're sorry you missed Rob breaking into Camelot here.
Fortunately, I had the best co-anchor in the world who taught me how to be relaxed and be myself. And we had a lot of fun for a lot of years.
I'm Mark Sapelson.
And I'm Marion Brooks. I've been here 25 years, which is unbelievable. Seems like yesterday I walked in the door.
That's it for us at 4:30.
I have shared the anchor desk with so many people. I think more than anybody. I think I may have the record of the most co-anchors. I'm pretty sure I do. I'm the constant. And now I work with Alex Maragos. Let's see if I can hold on to him. And they're getting younger and younger and younger. Used to be I was the young one. Now they're the young ones. This year marks 68 years. It's important as an African-American woman to try to raise awareness about and be a voice or a conduit to a voice for people in my community, and being real with our viewers, no matter what it is, whether it's my hair, and just being honest and saying, you know, I know you may not like this, but this is where I am, and I hope you'll get used to it.
Heartbreaking news to share with you about our dear friend and colleague.
The toughest days were obviously when we lost our friends.
Warner Saunders was the most evolved human I have ever had the privilege of sitting next to. He actually enjoyed putting a spotlight on things that were uncomfortable. I have so much respect for him, and I'm grateful for all that he taught me.
In my case particularly, Dick Johnson. He also had the responsibility to do right by him and to tell his story and give him his due.
That's our news and weather for this Sunday evening.
I'm just in awe that you have allowed me to come into your home for all of these years.
From remembering our colleagues to covering another cast of characters.
Give my good side, will you?
The most personalities on one roster of any team you can imagine.
A look back at the '85 Super Bowl Bears, up next.
Our 75 years of broadcasting includes 7 decades of covering sports, and NBC5 has covered it all. But one particular football season really stands out. We sat down with 2 reporters who covered the '85 Bears to reflect on the greatest season in Chicago Bears history.
You know, this was a spectacular, unbeatable team. The best of all time, and as I always say, the most personalities on one roster of any team you can imagine.
Give my good side, will you?
You got a guy like the refrigerator coming in, Jim McMahon. Nobody knows what he's going to do from day to day.
Everybody had their own TV or radio show. Everybody was doing commercials, and they still managed to steamroll everybody. Every day at the old Hallis Hall, you had to be there early. You had to be rolling as soon as you got out of the car because you didn't want to miss Ditka sticking gum on the lens of your camera, Peyton coming out and with his Luger and shooting birds out of a tree on the practice field.
See that? That's your IQ, buddy. 0.
I'm going to turn over.
No, I'd rather talk to him.
Gian Grego, when was the last time you could take an outdoor carriage ride with no top on in November in Chicago?
I was the original shock jock before Howard Stern.
Obviously, Steve McMichael. Our Sunday night show. You're going to get me going here. We had the craziest season.
Here, hey, Mark, you bit your tongue. What I want to talk about is I got
man. Tim Ryan, Tom Backus.
I got my Friday afternoon pump club here, Mark, and I got my hypodermic.
Can you imagine doing that now?
No.
And he thought through every show. He had props for every single Sunday night, win or lose. He brought in jackhammers. He had a chainsaw that he rigged that you could still start it up, but the chain didn't go. And he had red Kool-Aid shoot out of it, and he had it on my neck. He got me in a headlock. I almost passed out. He was cutting off my tie, hitting me in the face with pies. It was the greatest time of my career.
The Bears arrived in New Orleans late Monday, and no sooner did they check in than Jim McMahon grabbed center stage by announcing that he had acupuncture treatments to relieve the pain in his butt without the consent of team trainer Fred Cato.
And I don't really care whether it improves of it or not. I mean, if it's going to help me to get ready to play Sunday, I'm going to do it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Giangreco live in New Orleans. You know, we've been leading the coverage all the way through Super Bowl week.
And there they are down there, thousands of Chicagoans, and they all are running Bourbon Street tonight.
Probably the most intense week of my entire career. We had a set built in New Orleans, and we did all our shows from New Orleans.
Covered over the Bears' closed practice session and got a windshield full as McMahon decided to moon the chopper.
That iconic shot was from our helicopter.
That's no big deal. I was just letting them know where it hurt.
We figured out we did 73 packages in 9 days. That's what I remember about the Super Bowl.
Chicago Bears. Man, was that fun. I mean, I was covered in confetti, covering the Chicago Bears.
We're out here in the middle of the confetti, having as much fun as we can, cheering on our Bears with all these happy fans. How do you feel?
Chicago turned out in huge numbers. I could not believe. I said, where'd all these people come from? They're Bear fans. They're Bear fans.
We had to savor that season because that's never going to happen again. I don't care if the Bears do win another Super Bowl. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be that epic.
Super Bowl champion!
Now to another Chicago sports icon. It's impossible to count how many stories we did on Michael Jordan. But one NBC reporter was there for all the ups and downs. Mark Giangreco shared with us his memories of covering his airness.
On one, an alley-oop to Jordan for the dunk. Jordan off the steal.
Well, I think the very first time I met him, the very first time we did an interview, and back then, you know, he was a wide-eyed kid. So if you were on the road or even after practice, you could just grab him, drag him down the hallway, throw him in a broom closet, shut the door, and have your little exclusive interview.
It's no different now. They have to really go out and maintain their own and get some of the respect that a lot of people is taken away from them.
And then, of course, as he became Michael Jordan, you know, that was impossible. I think I had a great relationship with Michael because I ripped him all the time and made fun of him, and I think he appreciated that. And he gave it right back to me, and he'd always try to sabotage me.
You know, I'm a human, and yet humans, you know, make mistakes, but yet we bring championships to Chicago.
Michael, you know, a lot of us wanted to leave you alone, but, you know, we have to.
I respect a lot of you guys because you have to do your job. Some of you, I can care less about.
The most important and the most satisfying and the most eye-opening crazy championship was the first.
Jordan simply took over Game 2, working the basketball world into a frenzy, climaxing with the moment still known as the shot.
We're in LA, and it's insanity, and I remember the locker room was so small and, you know, 50 lines of cable in there, it's packed.
Does this feel as if you thought it would be? Is it more than you thought it would be?
It's more. I never thought I'd be this emotional.
Michael lighting up the cigar with the trophy and his mom right there, and I'm pouring his mom champagne, and she's dumping it on herself, and, you know, they're dumping champagne on us, and the first one for me was the best.
Good evening, I'm Ron Majors.
And I'm Carol Marine. Tonight we bring you team coverage of Michael Jordan's announcement today.
And I'm still in love with the game, but at some point in time, everyone has to make a decision to move forward away from games.
He redefined the game of basketball while bringing countless thrills and 3 championships to Chicago. Now he's redefining what it means to go out on top. Tonight, the news is sinking in for millions of stunned fans. The news that Michael Jordan is moving on.
Now, live from the NBC Tower, this is the Channel 5 News at 10.
Chicago basketball fans haven't been this happy since Jordan led the Bulls to 3 consecutive NBA championships. Today, as the rumors flew, he showed up at the team workout facility in Deerfield, acknowledged the press, and went inside to work out with the team. A short time later, the good news rocked Chicago. Through his agent, Jordan issued a statement that simply said, "I'm back."
He's good for Chicago. I mean, baseball had to lose him to who better? We might as well get him back in basketball where he belongs.
They're going to win.
Yeah?
They're going to win. 2, 1,
let's fly. Let them boo. I don't care. They can boo all summer. Yes. Jordan, time winding down. Michael for 3. Yeah! 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 Yes! Yes! Yes!
That was the greatest time of your career because you were covering the greatest player of all time and the greatest team of all time. And again, this LeBron-MJ argument, it's so ridiculous because you cannot compare eras. In Michael's case, he's always going to be the all-time best.
My heart, and my soul, and my love has always gone to the city of Chicago. And I do know that no matter what happens, my heart, and my soul, and my love will still be in the city of Chicago.
Our coverage of the city's sports celebrations didn't end there. Next, remembering some wins that were decades in the making.
To witness such an era in sports. Unprecedented, unprecedented.
We have covered some incredible sports dynasties in Chicago over the years, but other teams had some pretty memorable moments too. After decades of waiting, Chicago fans finally got to celebrate both the Cubs and the White Sox winning a World Series.
What a remarkable play with his back facing first base, catching it, and then tumbling into the crowd.
Longest game in World Series history. Blum hits it into right, down the line. It is gone. Jeff Blum, the former Astro, goes deep.
They shocked everybody. No one saw the White Sox coming. No one saw that one coming.
Get Jermaine Dye. That's up the middle, and the White Sox take the lead. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
I think that's the thing that I remember the most. Not that they won, but in every step of the way, they completely dominated the opponent. Scotty Pods hitting the game-winning homer. I mean, who would have predicted that? The guy who has never hit for power in his career. Mark Burley coming out of the bullpen, maybe had a couple of beers before he came into pitch. I mean, that was a loose group.
Canerco up, and he rips one into left. Canerco, grand slam.
And I don't think any of the pressure of trying to win not only the American League pennant, but then go on to the World Series, I don't think that really affected them. I think Ozzie kept that group loose. Just a unique cast of characters led by Ozzie, who to this day is still, one of a kind.
Chicago fans, they be waiting for this for so long, and they be so much patient with him. I think making this thing happen for them is great. I think it's a great feeling.
First day of spring training, Kenny said he just didn't want to finish second to the Twins. Well, we didn't finish second to anybody this year, so.
I don't think it's sunk in. I don't think it'll sink in until we get back to Chicago and be able to celebrate this with our fans.
88 years of frustration taken out and one big celebration as White Sox players make their way through downtown Chicago for the first World Series parade.
Just looking out into the sea of fans and seeing people's reactions, I thought, wow, if I was not here, I would be there.
Seeing people hanging out windows, on window ledges, just everywhere, just to see us. So I'm gonna enjoy, every part of this day today.
Remember, I was sitting on the rooftop with Allison and Warner Saunders, and we were just watching the parade come down LaSalle Street, and it was cold, but it was the fans were just enjoying every second of it, and that was one of my last assignments here at WMAQ, and I'll always remember it. It was a very special moment, not only for White Sox fans, but for the entire city of Chicago.
Everybody kept asking me the last couple of days what I did with that last ball, that last out. Let's go into this man right here because he earned it.
Getting this ball from Paul Canerco is the most emotional moment of my life.
Quite frankly, I didn't know there were this many of you out there, so we are humbled, overwhelmed.
I don't want to lose it here, but I'm telling you, this is what it's all about. This is the pinnacle. I've never seen anything like this. God bless this team. God bless Chicago. We're World Series champions, baby!
Don't stop believing. Come on, Chicago. Hold on to that feeling.
This is the greatest feeling of my life right here, guys.
We're literally writing our stories as if they were going to lose. They wheel the champagne, and then they wheeled it out. And then the rain came. And then they wheeled the champagne back again. And you did not know whether or not they were actually going to pull it out.
I just didn't think it was going to happen. You always think it's going to happen. That is the difference between the two of us.
I am an eternal optimist.
You were sure that it was going to happen,
Yes.
and I was sure it wasn't going to happen, and it happened.
I saw the moon landing. I saw the fall of the Soviet Union. I saw the Berlin Wall come down. And I saw the Cubs win the World Series. Robin Allison, it's almost impossible to believe.
That was a great day. That was the best day. That was the best day.
It really was.
The clubhouse after the Cubs won the World Series was by far the most crowded I have ever seen a clubhouse after a win.
Embracing the target, which is the phrase that you guys had all year long. Not easy to do.
No, I mean, we didn't really care about the target. We just wanted to beat people and be prepared. You know, we got some of the most talented baseball players in the world.
You got very emotional, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I slept a little bit, but yeah, I went right down to my knees, and it was just a hard-fought game. I mean, they came back, we came back. I mean, it was probably one of the best, Game 7s ever.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah, this team right here will go down as one of the greatest teams in Chicago sports history.
At the very end of our broadcast, we were out on the field, and they said, "Do you have any final thoughts?" And that's when you can make it personal.
It might be your Aunt Marie. It's my dad, Ed Kaczynski, who, dreamed of always seeing this in his lifetime. And now he'll be 82, and he finally got to see it. My brothers, my sisters, my late sister, who was a Cubs season ticket holder. You get emotional watching everybody, and you understand the emotions of why this is so important to everyone.
It is such an honor to be a tiny, tiny fly on the wall to witness this history and to bring it back to the people at home in Chicago. I am so grateful for it, and I am so, so happy for Chicago, for Cub fans who will never, ever forget tonight, and it's yours forever, guys.
This is impressive, especially in such a large city as Chicago. Listen to those crowds.
It was pretty surreal to realize that the Cubs, yes, had won the World Series, and here we are covering their championship parade, and then to hear estimates of 5 million people across the city. It just goes to show you how incredible a sports town this is and how long Cubs fans had waited for that moment.
Welcome to Cubstock 2016. Look at this thing.
I will never forget the Cubs parade in 2016. It is not an exaggeration to say there are Cubs fans as far as the eye could see. I mean, that expression is used a lot, but I could not look on any part of the horizon and not see Cubs fans. That's how many people there were.
Every single person that has worn this jersey, I feel like won the World Series with us.
Look what the boys got me!
The whole city came to a stop, and it was something where you just tried to soak in every single moment of that day. I will never forget that.
Everybody! We won a World Series, everybody! Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are going to win. One more time. Go, Cubs, go. One last time. Go, Cubs, go. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are world champs today.
Now to a team that united the city back in 2010. The Chicago Blackhawks shared one goal in that magical season and took all of us along on their quest for the Cup, especially our former sports reporter, Peggy Kaczynski.
Back in 2010, when the Blackhawks made their run to the Stanley Cup, it was something we had never seen before when it came to hockey in Chicago.
Dealt one in deep, the pass across, they score! Bufflin! Power play goal, it's 1-0 Chicago!
All of a sudden, everyone's got Blackhawks sweaters, and everyone knew Kane and Taves and right down to Adam Burrish. It became a hockey town, and Chicago could not get enough.
Flyers, here's Keith beating one on a cross, it's down on further,
The Blackhawks winning in Philadelphia was not expected. I was going to meet my husband and my twin boys on vacation, and I have my suitcase there, and I'm figuring, yeah, Blackhawks were not going to win this game. When Patrick Kane scored the game winner, no one had any idea that it was a goal. Even on the replay, it comes. We still don't know. So we have no idea until they said, go out onto the ice. They won? What?
Have you given yourself a moment to stop and think about all those rides from Minnesota, moving around as a kid, playing junior hockey, just trying to get a break in the world of hockey, and now, today you hoisted the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it was. It's been a long journey. It's been fun, and hopefully we got some more to do this.
It was crazy, but that was the magic that followed those Blackhawk teams. They were a magical group, and boy, it was just meant to be.
And, Canner might have been the only one in the building knew it went in, but it was what a great ending. No, I mean, it was like, okay, talk about a delayed celebration after taking so long to finally get here.
We took the audience where they had never been before, and that was live in a hockey dressing room immediately after a game.
Good save, man. I'm getting tired of carrying this thing around.
You're not, yeah. Are you?
I'm just kidding.
The cup is making its way out here, as well as the Conn Smythe Trophy, won by Captain Jonathan Taves.
We're ready to roll, and the Odyssey about to begin, a journey that will take them ultimately to Michigan and Wacker. The city is about to go absolutely wild.
They were not used to a parade, a victory parade. And now what does the media do? And we talked them into letting us on the bus.
You can see the old timers in the bus behind us right now, you guys. What an amazing moment this is to be part of, you guys.
Just seeing the number of fans and people hanging out office buildings and throwing confetti out of office building windows. There is nothing like covering a championship parade.
We had so much fun because you're with the whole city, live, watching the same thing they're watching, and just going along with it. And you're just sort of a guide through this incredible day.
We're proud to say that today we're Stanley Cup champions.
Who knows a good dentist, by the way? Anyone got a dentist?
You guys are absolutely amazing. You made this special for us.
These are the best guys in the world, and I couldn't envision a better moment in my life than right now.
When we come back, another chapter in our 75 years of broadcasting that played out in our second-floor studios. Plus, a behind-the-scenes look at getting our news on the air.
Now here at 4:30.
We're taking a look back at two cornerstones of our news coverage here at NBC5. Our investigative and consumer reporting teams have been a huge part of our legacy. They've asked the tough questions and continue to be your voice, sparking change along the way.
Tonight, Peter Carl exposes a police system which fails to deal with the cops who are beating justice.
When you do something that reaches the people and you give the people a voice, you change lives.
Our investigation shows that Secretary of State George Ryan may be benefiting from a questionable source of cash for his campaign.
Investigative journalism is when we are at our best. That's the most important thing we do.
They are an especially menacing breed of policemen.
Stories that I did here on police brutality called Beating Justice, we identified a number of police officers who had 3 or more charges of brutality against them. And that was a very, very powerful story then.
Our Unit 5 investigation has uncovered. I worked at NBC5 for 20 years, and during that time, I became the first African-American woman to be an investigative reporter in Chicago. People trust you to call you with their stories, often at the worst times in their lives. I felt violated. The story that we did on the women who were being strip searched at O'Hare was a big story, and ultimately there were congressional hearings on those procedures. The search procedures were rewritten. I did stories on sexual harassment of women at the Ford Motor Plant, and they weren't very happy, but the women called me, and I did the work that needed to be done to confirm their stories.
Paramedics reported the baby was choking, blew around the lips.
When Carol Marine did this massive investigation of a woman whose children had died of crib death, and she showed that it wasn't crib death, that in fact the children had been murdered. That day I said, I want to work there.
9 more exonerations in a growing case which has become the largest scandal in CPD history.
We do investigative stories because we believe it's our responsibility to equip the citizens with the information they need to make decisions about their government.
Police seem to have plenty of leads, but went months or even years without filing charges.
Probably the most important investigative story I ever did was a story about hit-and-run accidents in Chicago. Those stories involved just a complete inability of the Chicago Police Department to solve what are obvious crimes. We called them out on that. We said, why aren't you doing more on these?
UPS says it reopened this case because of NBC5's inquiry.
I was the consumer investigative reporter here for 27 years. Some products were changed because of our reporting. When we started doing the bye-bye syndrome, people said to us, you've lost your mind. Car makers are never going to put cameras in cars. What do we have now? Standard equipment.
Offering push-button convenience.
We were the first to tell the story of the problems with keyless ignition. And again, what we heard initially from the industry and lobbyists was, this is user error. And then it kept happening and it kept happening. And so now there's regulations about that to prevent it.
NBC5 Responds is in your corner.
When we gave birth to NBC5 Responds, it was a whole different thing because we said we're going to answer every email and call and we're going to track the money. We had this couple in Arlington Heights and their retirement account had been hacked, so they reached out to us, but they got their $40,000 back. That was a great phone call to make.
We profiled her case on our series, Scene of the Crime.
When you do some things that really help the community, that's where you really feel good about what you've done.
And the stories are of, for, and about we the people, and that has not changed over 75 years.
If only these walls could talk. In fact, this wall is filled with messages from guests of the Jerry Springer Show. It got its start in this very studio with Jenny Jones across the hall. Jerry and Jenny began our legacy as the Talk Tower, with others to follow.
She checked herself out of the hospital and demanded to be here.
During that, the late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of people, if you were coming to Chicago, you were going to the Jerry Springer Show. One time it was like 6-month waiting list to come to see the show. Tickets were like gold. The energy in there, those shows were just so crazy. And sometimes something would be revealed, or we'd have a big scuffle on stage, and the audience would just explode. It was like a nuclear bomb went off.
During the Jerry Springer era, it was a strange place to work. And this is before he was called in to do commentary, because he'd have all these bizarre audiences. Our newsroom is directly below where his studio was. So you would hear people stomping on the floor, and you'd hear the chairs flying. And we're trying to conduct some serious news business for the day. And you'd go up to the cafeteria, and you'd see the guests.
I am your problem now. Springer Show had no rules, no script. You never know where the show was going. When I was doing the Springer Show, it was the #1 show in the world. It was just so much fun. The audience being right off of Michigan Avenue, you would get these great jam-packed audiences. Me and Jerry would look at each other and just be laughing. It was that type of show. We were just like guys in high school, goofing around. Being part of the Springer Show was probably the funnest time of my life. This is a time in my life where I thought I was going to be a Chicago policeman for 30 years.
I don't have room for my legs now because you're here.
We did the Jenny Jones Show on the second floor. I was a handheld cameraman. I did pretty much all their field production, too. Jenny Jones was benign and compared to some of the other talk shows.
It's what Potter looked like earlier in the show.
We did a lot of makeovers, biker makeovers, stuff like that. This place was always jumping. There were 2 talk shows going. There was a full newsroom, lines full of audience people to get into the building. The place was jumping. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
These guests are confronting the people who tease them in school.
I remember when Saturday Night Live did a skit about it.
Jonah, come on out!
I thought, well, that we've made it. Saturday Night Live is now mocking us.
She should not be putting her hands on you. I'm not justifying her actions. My show started in 2007. Everybody thought that I was going to do some kind of takeoff from the Jerry Springer Show. We said, hey, if we're going to make it, we have to do something completely different. So my wife kind of came up with the idea of, what are you good at? You were a policeman in Chicago. You were a good policeman. So we're going to take that policeman from the streets of Chicago and we're going to put him on stage. You're going to deal with topics and stories that you dealt with when you were a policeman. If you really want to stay together and be together, tell each other so you can get it out of the way. Springer would come in, he would do his shows, and then I would come in after him. And that was a great time because when I was there, Jenny Jones had been there, Judge Mathis, Judge Jeannie Pirro was there. Being in that building, and NBC Tower was a beautiful building. Really great studios. It was just a really nice setup we had.
Steve Harvey!
Coming to daytime. Yeah.
I would say about 3 years we didn't have any talk shows, and then Steve Harvey entered the building.
That's got to be close to one of the dumbest things.
It was a big deal for the community. You know, Oprah was gone, and everybody was saying that Steve Harvey was the new Oprah. I think Steve Harvey felt he was the new Oprah, too.
That's the plan, to be Little O.
Little O.
She was O. I'm going to be Steve O.
From all of those talk shows, I think we were kind of known as being the place to come to watch a talk show in Chicago. I think the Tower was the place to come.
So much has changed over the past 75 years you've welcomed us into your home. This display at NBC Tower reminds us that technology certainly has come a long way, but our mission of bringing you the news that matters most remains the same, even as we go forward.
When I came here, you went out on the street with a three-man camera crew. There was a cameraman, there was a sound man, and there was an electrician who did the lights. An IATSE editor would edit the film, and there would be an assistant editor who would splice the film. It required a lot of people.
When I first got into the business, we used what are called WMAQ tapes, and they're about the size of a hardcover book. Nowadays, my fingernail holds more memory than we're going to use all day.
We went from film to videotape, from videotape to microwave trucks, from microwave trucks to satellites, from satellite to digital. It's been a revolution every decade for the 50 years of my career.
A technology called cellular bonded, that was a game changer. All of a sudden you had this relatively small box that you could take your camera, plug it into it, turn it on, and you were live. If you have cell service, you can take this box and go live anywhere.
The way we deliver the latest news to your home has changed a lot in 75 years, as well as where those stories come from. And with so much instant information in the palm of our hand or on our desktop, the demand to confirm content and sources has intensified.
Coming at us so fast. We feel that pressure to turn it around quicker, but I always tell everyone, like, I'd rather be second and right than first and wrong.
F-25 is dead.
Well, ahead at 4:30, the grand opening. People don't know that it takes dozens, if not hundreds of people to put on a 30-minute program. Everybody partakes in the editorial process. We select stories that we think, there are things that are happening that day or what is going to impact the community most. And then the producers decide what order those stories are going to go into their shows, into their newscasts. Then you have other people who are overlooking those shows and going, I don't think so. Maybe we should move this story here. Maybe it should go there. But the people out in the streets and behind the scenes work tirelessly and endlessly to help bring those stories, give them life, and get them on the air.
The unique future of WMAQ is backed by the power of 3 stations working together. Our triopoly of NBC Chicago, Telemundo Chicago, and NBC Sports Chicago, delivering content in more ways than ever.
There's never been a combination of stations with that kind of reach. That we can talk to people who are Spanish-speaking, bilingual.
Y bueno, Jorge de Santiago tiene el testimonio de algunos feligreses que llegaron hasta los plains.
People who are into sports and they just want to know the news. I love the fact that we can reach so many people. We've got to be on streaming channels. We've got to be on social. We've got to be on digital. We've got to reach folks wherever they are.
And exciting plans are now in the works to bring that triopoly collaboration under one roof.
When they built the NBC Tower, this space was the largest soundstage in Chicago at the time. Yeah. What's going to happen now?
Well, this space here has been historically something we've given to outside parties. We're going to reclaim this space. We're going to create a state-of-the-art studio. We're going to build a newsroom that functions and is future-proof. It'll be a content maker's dream, and we're looking forward to it.
We've done it for 75 years. We're going to keep doing it. We will serve the audience wherever they are. We'll be there.
Now here at 4:30, it is one step toward justice.
We hope you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane and the special moments we've been proud to share with you for the past 75 years. For all of us here at NBC Chicago, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for much more to come.